Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. It's summer 2020. It's hot as hell, and that seems like a pretty good excuse to stay indoors and watch some kick-ass Japanese cartoons. And it just so happens that there are a number of really awesome shows this season, and a lot of you guys have been recommending that I check them out. And one of those shows just so happens to be the brand new fantasy series, The Misfit of Demon Academy. The title itself already gives me an idea of what the entire show is going to be all about, but the first episode, I have to say, was actually kind of intriguing. I have a feeling that this is going to end up being sort of like the One Punch Man of fantasy anime, and you'll know what I mean when I talk a little bit more about the story. So let's go ahead and jump right in to this brand new show, The Misfit of Demon Academy. First off, there's a huge trend going on in the anime world where all these brand new fantasy type shows have to have really quirky titles, and this one certainly does take the cake. But the very first episode of the series is remarkably simple and does a pretty good job of introducing us, the viewer, to this big fantasy world. The series takes place in this world which is inhabited by all of these people who can use magic, and 2,000 years in the past, there was a demon king ruler who went by the name of Anos Voldigord. Now, he was incredibly powerful, but he also had a dry sense of humor, and he was looked up to very much by all of his followers, and they anxiously await his eventual reincarnation, which just so happens to take place at the beginning of this episode. In fact, this entire world is sort of built around the fact that this guy is going to eventually return, and Anos Voldigord apparently is just one hell of a magical being, not only taking on humans and monsters, but even the gods themselves. Essentially, Anos Voldigord is not to be fucked with. So in preparation for his return, this magical world has created this academy for these magical students, one of which could eventually be his reincarnation so that he could return and, of course, rule the world yet again. Of course, a lot of the people in this world have an inherited magical abilities, some of which they feel actually came from Anos, so they decide that they're going to be the next Demon King themselves, and that's why they go to the Demon King Academy. It's like Hogwarts, except demonic. The episode wastes no time in introducing the main characters, and it looks like there's going to be a duo of them. Of course, we're going to have the reincarnated form of Anos Voldigord, but it looks like the default main character is actually going to be a female who goes by the name of Misha Necron. Misha is a disgustingly cute character who has aspirations of being some sort of magical person, and what I really love about her personality is that while she does come across as very timid, that doesn't stop her from actually being quite competent in her magical abilities. And as she makes her way to the academy for the very first time, she immediately runs into the reincarnated form of Anos Voldigord. However, no one actually knows that this is the reincarnated form of the former Demon King. He's confronted by this one guy who goes by the name of Zeppis.
He's an asshole.
And the fact of the matter is, Zeppis is not a nice guy. He's completely obsessed with his lineage, feeling that he's going to be next in line to be the next Demon King, and he's not going to stop anyone from allowing him to make his way to the top. And that's essentially where the rest of the episode brings us, as we get to see that all of these magical students are thrown into the ringer. They have to go through all of these tests in this sort of giant magical arena in this sort of school, which is apparently run by a bunch of talking owls. Hoot hoot, bitch! So Anos and Misha actually end up going through these tests, but it's more of an excuse to see what Anos can actually do. And at the beginning of the review, I mentioned that this is going to be kind of like the One Punch Man of fantasy series, and that's because Anos is fucking unstoppable. Nothing is going to trump this guy's magical abilities. In fact, he ends up actually having a battle with Zeppis, and he just absolutely defeats the hell out of this guy, utilizing this crazy ability where essentially he's able to just flick his fingers and Zeppis just explodes in a giant ball of blood. But to add insult to injury, every single time he does this, he uses a magical spell to actually resurrect him back, to basically prove a point that, yeah, I'm the shit, you're not, back the hell off. You can only imagine that all of the people that are watching this have been completely traumatized by watching this guy get repeatedly killed and resurrected, but essentially, Anos proves his point Don't fuck with him. What I especially love about Anos is that while he is capable, he also has an incredibly benevolent and extremely dry sense of humor, to the point where he's constantly cracking jokes throughout the episode, but no one ever seems to laugh at them, always as he continues to remind himself that, everybody thought this was a lot funnier 2,000 years ago. I like this because it shows that while he is an incredibly powerful being, he also has another weakness, and that seems to be interacting with people, in particular the people of this generation. So predictably, Anos and Misha do pass all of their tests, and it looks like they're going to be next in line to going to the Demon Academy, which is really great. Also, these two characters manage to hit it off immediately, seeming to have some sort of strange connection with one another. I'm not sure if this is going to border on something romantic, or if it's going to be more of just like a friendly, brotherly, sisterly kind of relationship, but honestly, I kind of like it, especially because it sort of breaks a lot of the trends that I've seen from a lot of other anime, especially when it comes to the character of Misha, who, like I said, comes across as this sort of timid-like character, but she still has this sort of underlying, confidence about herself. She's just not really loud and over the top about it. We also get to meet Anos' parents, which are hilarious because the funny thing about Anos is that while he is the reincarnation of this demon king, he's only been alive for a month. This is some sort of magical thing, I'm sure, but it's really funny because his parents don't seem to mind this at all, as their son was born a month ago as a small baby, and now he's a tall, dark, handsome, evil lord. I can tell from this scene and some of the ones later on in the episode that the relationship between Anos and Misha is probably going to be what's going to hold up most of this series. In fact, at the very end of the episode, Anos is walking her home when suddenly they're ambushed by Zeppis yet again and his douchebag older brother. His brother is a demon lord who goes by the name of Leorg Indu, and apparently he has a big problem with this dude. Just like Zeppis, they seem to be up on their high horse of the fact that they're part of some royal family that has some sort of connection to the lineage of the original Demon King. They actually end up trapping both Anos and Misha in this massive arena, and they decide that they're just going to go on the attack. Leorg is so pissed that everything that happened to his brother that he basically outright kills him by electrocuting him with this lightning black magic, and it's mostly an intimidation tactic to try and get under Anos' skin, but of course this doesn't end up working because Anos manages to not only make a fool out of Zeppis but his older brother as well by not only trumping all of his magical abilities and those of his cronies, but also resurrecting Zeppis as a freaking zombie and making him attack his brother, forcing him to try and recognize who he is so that he can sort of teach him a lesson. Remember, this is a guy that can kill you repeatedly and reincarnate you. That's kind of messed up. And of course, he establishes how incredibly powerful he is and that he is indeed the true reincarnation of the Demon King, not only knocking these guys down a peg or two, but also letting them know that he's back, and if they ever want to throw down, he's right here, bitch. Make sure to stay tuned after the credits. There is a post-credit scene where we get to see Anos actually going to the school for the very first time, wearing his school uniform, being introduced to all of his students, reuniting with Misha yet again, and letting everyone know that he is not going to stand down, he is going to be the top dog at this school. However, the actual title of the series does come into play as everybody manages to look at him in a very weird way, and that's because he has this symbol on his shoulder, this crest, which has all of these weird markings on it, which sort of label him as something of a misfit. I guess that just means he's going to be a wacky guy doing wacky things, but again, he can kill you and resurrect you. Don't mess with this dude. So, what's the rundown on the very first episode of The Misfit of Demon Academy? This was a show that I went into expecting to absolutely hate it, and that's because there's just been so many different fantasy anime over the last couple of years, and a lot of them seem to be following the same tropes and everything, and it didn't help either that the actual look of the show is not all that inventive. I mean, the character design itself is just very normal. What I mean by that is, these are characters that you can pick and pull from so many different type of anime series. There's nothing really all that unique about the look of the world or the character design. I really think what's going to make this series shine is the actual story itself. While actually watching it, I was getting sort of these vibes of that time I got reincarnated as a slime, and while I found that series premise just a little more interesting, I do like the fact that we're going to have these two characters that are going on a journey here. One who's incredibly incredibly powerful and one who is just learning. It's sort of like the master and apprentice type storyline, which, again, not exactly anything new here, but there's a lot to actually build up in this world. And the fact that the main character himself is so incredibly powerful, I can't wait to see if there's anything in this world that can actually sort of like stand up to him, or if just like Saitama from the One Punch Man anime and manga series, maybe he's just going to be sort of like a background character while all of the side characters take center stage, seeing them grow as individuals as they grow up in this crazy magic world. They've definitely set up what could very well be a very interesting setting. It remains to be seen what ultimately it's going to bring to the table, but my first impression of the series is that it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's not groundbreaking or anything, but I found myself smiling and laughing a lot while watching this show, and it sort of like broke free of what I thought the show was eventually going to be, which was just a bunch of stupid fan service and magical abilities. Really, it's about those two main characters, and I think they really shined great in this very first episode of the series. Production value wise, it was a pretty decent looking episode. Like I said, the actual like design of the world and the characters is nothing new. I mean, Anos literally looks like he could be in just about any other anime series. Misha Voldigord, she looks okay. Like I said, she has a cute, fun design, but again, you watch a lot of different fantasy anime, she looked like she could be any background character from that show. She has a little bit of distinctiveness to her, and thankfully she's not too buxom and fan servicey to the point where she's going to be incredibly distracting. But again, I like her character. She broke free from the mold that I thought that she was originally going to be in, which was just this really annoying, typical cliched anime character. And again, she wasn't like that at all. She's really just calm and cute and very sweet. I can't wait to learn a little bit more about her backstory, as they do hint about it a little bit in this episode. The fact that she doesn't seem to live with her parents, who are going off doing some mysterious thing. They're either dead or they're super powerful magical beings. She also has a sister who has been shown in the promotional material, as well as in the ending of the show, having somewhat similar style to her, so I'm sure she's going to be pretty important. And Anos himself, like I said, his character is just super confident, but really fun. I love the fact that he cracks jokes that no one ever manages to laugh at, and overall, he demonstrates why he is indeed the reincarnation of the Demon King. So, there's a lot to actually like about this one. If you're looking for a brand new fantasy anime series with some comedy elements and a brand new world with lots of cool adventures, this might be the show for you. I definitely recommend it for people who like stuff like That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime or The Rising of the Shield Hero, as it definitely carries a lot of like the same feel of those shows, and as we're waiting for those next seasons to be released, maybe this can sort of satiate your hunger for that type of series. Otherwise, I thought it was a pretty solid first episode, but again, didn't completely blow me away, but I still got a lot of enjoyment out of it, which is why I'm going to give the first episode a 4 out of 5. So there it is, that's my thoughts on the Misfit of Demon King Academy. Thank you guys for recommending this show to me. Are there any other shows that you guys would like me to talk about this season? I know there's a lot that you guys have already requested, and some of which I'm definitely going to look at, but any and all recommendations, I'd love to hear them in the comments section below. And of course, if you did watch the very first episode of the Misfit of Demon Academy, I'd love to get your thoughts about them in the comments section, what you thought about the very first episode of the series, the introduction of the main characters, and if you liked it, if you didn't like it, and what you hope to see from the future of this show. Let's just have a big discussion all about it. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. If you did like this video, use your magical abilities to hit that like button. It's super easy to do, and it helps out these videos tremendously. If you are already subscribed, make sure to hit that bell notification icon. It's going to let you know when all of my videos are released. And if you guys want to go that extra mile to help support this channel, please, I implore you to check out my Patreon account in the description box below. I already have a number of very loyal patrons who've been doing a great job of helping to support me and the channel. And remember, if you guys make a small donation, I will review an anime series of your choice. In fact, my next Patreon review is going to be coming out within the next week. Make sure to stay tuned for that. So there it is, guys. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.